Hi everyone, this is Art Smalley, President of Art of Lane, and today I'm going to share with you my 10 tips for coaching a better problem-solving skills and development. These are things I use with my kids in their basketball, these are things I use in martial arts, these are things I actually use with my clients when we practice on developing our problem-solving skills. This won't be about the steps, this won't be about your favorite type or my favorite type or any specific type. It's going to be about the overall environment and atmosphere we create. Stick around, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, first off, I'm just going to list my 10 tips and share with you what they are, and then in the video here on YouTube and down below I'll timestamp it and you can jump ahead to wherever you want if one of them in particular interests you. The 10 are: number 1, always sharpen your own sword and improve your own skills. Number 2, have a plan for every person. Number 3, employ videotaping, and I'll show you how I use it with my clients. Number 4, prepare the environment for optimal learning and problem solving. Number 5, embrace different thinking patterns. 6, employ different coaching styles. 7, make sure you have roles for everybody in the room. Okay. Number 8, employ different job aids and training aids. Okay. Number 9, coach what I call time frame management. And number 10, make it fun. Tip number 1, sharpen your sword. Problem solving is a skill and skill set that needs to be honed over time. And from time to time, you also have to stop and hone your own skill set. Don't take your sword to work, of course. I'm just using this as a prop. But look, all edges get dull, okay? You have to sharpen blades from time to time, from repeated use, wear and tear, things like that. And problem-solving skills get dull from time to time too, or you need to learn about things from different angles. So remember that life is a long-time journey, never-ending journey of improving, and you also want to take time to improve your own skill set, your own critical thinking, sharp thinking skills, whatever field or pattern of life they are. You might need to study the 1-3-1 zone in basketball, or a different style of guard play in jiu-jitsu, or a different type of thinking pattern in problem solving. Maybe you love logic and the 7 QC tools or the 5 why process. Well, perhaps you'd be better off studying statistical methods for a while. Or maybe you're always on the root cause side of things and you need to study the creative side of problem solving a little bit more. You know, design thinking, empathy-based routines, 6 lateral hats of thinking, things like that. Life is a never-ending journey, so one way to keep yourself in tip-top shape is to always study and improve, and it'll help you improve as a coach and help your people you're coaching improve as well. Okay, I put the wakizashi away, so nobody's scared by the sword anymore. Okay, tip number 2 is called PFEP, or Plan for Every Person. I had a coach who used to say Plan for Every Player. Rick Harris, a friend of mine, has a workbook about material flow and has a plan for every part number. I talk about having a plan for every person when you're coaching. You might be working with 5 people, 10 people, or some number like that, but in the name of respect for people, have a plan for every person. Everyone's unique, everyone's different. They bring a different skill set to the table, a different learning style, a different background, a different pattern of thinking, etc. So spend some time learning the person. There's some tools and things that I like to use. Diagnose their learning style, their personality, their strengths, their weaknesses, what problems they've solved in the past. But take time to get to know the person and make a plan for every person you're coaching and commit that to paper in some format. Tip number 3, employ videotape whenever you can in problem solving. Of course, this goes on in the sports world. Football, baseball, basketball, they videotape it and they analyze it, and the world of analytics has really made big impact in coaching and sports performance lately. And I think it should in problem solving as well. When I go to a client and I have repeat visits and I know them, they know me, and there's a trusting relationship involved, I get permission to videotape, and I record little clips either out on the shop floor when they're talking or presenting, in meetings when we're doing a 5 or 10 minute update, or if we're doing a longer problem solving report out, I'll set up a bigger camera sometimes. But I like to use this little DJI Pocket Osmo. I think it costs about $350 now. Takes a little investment, but it's got a nice gimbal head on it, so it stabilizes it. You don't get shaky video. Audio's okay, low light's okay, but the video footage is nice and steady. And look, I don't post this stuff on the internet because it belongs to my client, but I'll show a couple of little clips here in the corners. You can get a feel for it. But the important thing is I take this home at night and I actually look at the footage. and it helps me build this plan for every person that I talked about, and I share with things the next day. And I also sharpen my own sword, frankly, doing this, as I catch things when I listen to things in a little slower motion, or I listen to it a second or third time. You can employ standard job aids and cards and read your laminated card and stuff like that. I'm not against it. I'm just saying that also take time to reflect, look more closely at what they actually did and how you can share with them the next day. Prepare them for the next game, next opponent they're facing. Prepare the person you're coaching for the next step of the problem-solving process, next things they might do better next time, or how they can approach this problem differently, and leave them a little bit of assignment for the next time you come back. That was tip number 3. We got 7 more to go. But do me a favor, if you're watching this on YouTube or some service like that, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And also, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or some other social media platform, please leave a comment and share with us what's your favorite problem-solving tip or technique or strategy that you use in working with other people to help them get better results. That way we can all learn and sharpen our own swords. Tip number 4, set up an optimal problem-solving environment. And again, this takes time, and you don't always get to pick and choose. Sometimes if I'm only there one day or one shot, it'll be, live at the Gemba or in a meeting room or something like this. But if I have repeat visits, or you're an internal consultant with a company, set up a room or environment for problem solving that accentuates the process you're trying to follow. I'll show some clips, little pictures here, so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But you want to have a practice area, like a coach has a practice field, and you want to have a live area where you perform. And you want to have safe zones you can practice. You got to have a variety of things. It's not all just coaching on the shop floor. You just don't coach in the moment on the game. There's a variety of fields, practice zones, rooms, safe spaces, whatever you want to call it, you create so people can think in a variety of different ways and learn optimally. And you want that to reflect, in this case, the problem-solving process. So it shows, what are we doing? How are we tracking? What's the problem? What's our status? What are we following up on? Make the environment or room you're in accentuate the problem-solving process as much as possible. Okay, tip number 5. Learn to think and coach people to think from different angles. Don't be a one-size-fits-all, always have the solution type of person. In real life, the answer, the situation, and context often has nuances that you're better off learning to appreciate. There's a phrase in Japanese I share with all my clients. The beginner or the fool knows one way. The expert should know many ways. And that means learning to think from different angles and not just one size fits all. One way of thinking is easy. Learning the nuances, the ins and outs of different ways, now that's a hard point. My good friend and mentor, Isao Kato, who was very influential in the early development and writings about the Toyota production system, explained it to me this way. Art, you've got a cube. What number do you see here? Well, that side of the die is a 2. The other side's a 5. This was a 4. That was a 3. This was a 1. That was a 6. Okay, nobody's particular angle or perspective was wrong per se. The way you look at this and the way you pursue the solution might depend upon the circumstances. The best coaches coach from a variety of different directions. Beginners know one way. Okay, in martial arts, if you know one technique or you're barely versed in the beginnings of things, kata techniques, whatever it is, that's a white belt. It's the black belt who's supposed to be 5 steps ahead, thinking of different angles and strategy, knows dozens and dozens of techniques, and can spar, and can fight if necessary, and knows how to coach people from different ways of learning. Okay? So, think about problems, think about coaching from different perspectives and different angles, and how you can help coach and teach people to see. Tip number 6. Employ different coaching strategies as well. One size doesn't work best with all people. Adults don't learn the same. Children obviously learn differently. Some people prefer visual, some are auditory, some are kinesthetic learners. Some people love numbers, some people hate data. Some people like open-ended routines, some people like closed-ended routines. You have a diverse population skill set out there, and you want to maximize your ability to lead all types and recognize all types. So study things like situational leadership. Invest in it, learn that and other techniques, because it helps you think about coaching from different angles and not a one-size-fits-all set. The best coaches know how to relate to players and people in a variety of different ways to get the maximum they can out of that person. So situational leadership is an example. They share with you how to be a good direction setter in terms of leadership. Same is true of problem solving. There's also a coaching style where you help them with the direction, but really help unplug, unstick where they're stuck on the key points and things like that. Also, there's coaching routines that are more supportive and facilitative in nature, and of course there's routines where you get to delegate. But one size doesn't fit all, and to be a better coach and help your people become better problem solvers, also become a better problem-solving coaching leader using different strategies and styles. That was tip number 6, and before I move on to number 7, remember you can head over to my newest website, problemsolvingmastery.com, put it down here, and check out the free section, which has an introductory course on 4 types of problems, and sign up for the newsletter. I'll be adding more content on coaching, leadership, and problem solving in the months to come. Check it out. Okay, tip number 7. Have a role for everyone in the room when you're coaching and doing problem solving. Sometimes coaching is one-on-one and done in private, but often it's a team sport, it's a group environment. We're doing our daily report outs and things like that, or we're getting feedback from a group of people. So whenever I have that type of situation, and I have 6, 7, 8, 10 people or more in a room, I like to create a role for every person. And of course some of those roles are just observers. But look, you got the presenter. I make somebody a timekeeper. Somebody's in charge of feedback, okay, on the method. Somebody's in charge of feedback on the content. Somebody's in charge of feedback on their presentation style or the look of the paper and the graphics they had. I can have people be morale meisters or a coffee meister, environmental control meister for temperature of the room and making sure people come in and out politely and stuff like that. But set up a respectful role for everybody in the room. And sometimes executives in there and they try and take over and things like that, and I'll pull them aside in the beginning and say, let's let them run through that, and I'm going to have you give your feedback last. Makes it tougher for you, okay? You got to come up with something good to say, but the game is to see can the room come up with the feedback before the executive that says. I say beat the person to the punch, all right? Or whoever's in the room or the best problem-solving feedback person. Make them go last. Develop the skills of the room in terms of giving feedback. And one of the ways to do that is have a role for every person and not just leave it all to chance and hope you get the right thing said. And it takes practice and there's ways to do this, but have a role for every person in the room goes a long way to at least starting that process. Tip number 8, job aids and standards. I think it's a great idea. If you can come up with various ways to come up with little laminated cards, job aids and things like that that help a learner, it can really help. It tends to help beginners more. Advanced experts don't need them or won't use them, but still in the beginning you often need something to refer to. This is true in sports. Players might need a card to look at when they're learning what is a 1-3-1 zone. They might need a refresher right before a game of an opponent, things like that. But experts aren't going to need to know that. We used a lot of those in Toyota. Many different types of cards. JI family gave us 3. Problem solving, Kaizen each gave us a couple. How to lead, how to coach, how to train. We had all these different little cards in Toyota and I thought they were good for a variety of situations, especially for the beginner. When I use job aids and cards though, I warn people that in and of themselves that's not feedback. Okay? I use a modified version of the SMART framework for feedback. Is it S, specific enough to the situation? That'd be helpful. Is it meaningful? I adapt the M from measurable to be meaningful. Is the feedback and advice meaningful? Third, is it actionable? Fourth, is it relevant to the topic they're struggling with, they're working on? And T is, of course, is it still timely or time-based and helpful to them in that time management frame I'm going to talk about here. But, cards don't deliver that, but they're a good way to start. And look, if the card was the answer, all we'd have to do is laminate cards and people would be experts, but the real world doesn't work that way. The feedback, the advice comes from the coach, dynamic situation, and learning on how to do that. Jobs can be an aid on that process. Tip number 9, coach and teach time frame management. And there's a couple ways I think about this. One is the timing of updates and presentations that people give, but also managing the timeline of a problem that they're working on for an extended period of time. First, on the former point, I videotape people, as I mentioned earlier, and I often start out by asking them, give me the 1 minute, give me the elevator speech, give the quick summary of it and see how well they do. And I go home and reflect upon that and give them some feedback the next day. But life is often like that. You got to give quick problem-solving updates to a peer, to a manager, to somebody in another department or an executive, and you got 1 minute and you want to communicate that clearly and concisely. Other times you're going to have 10-minute updates in a meeting, and you want to be a really good steward of time. You don't want to waste people's time. Okay, I think that's disrespectful. Use good time management concepts so you can go through 5 to 10 slides in 5 to 10 minutes and really get your point across effectively. Also, though, you are going to have times where the problem deserves 30 minutes of update, and you're going to talk to an audience on the phone, on a conference, on a video, and they're in the room. You got to practice that style of presentation and time frame management as well, using the 30 minutes with Q&A to the best of your ability. So again, I videotape this and I help people see where they're spending their time. Where did you spend a minute here? Where did you spend 5 minutes? Where did you lose it perhaps in the Q&A or something like that? And think about that time frame management component of their presentation. Also, on longer, harder problems, you don't know how long they're going to take. A day, a week, a month? And you have to have good time frame management strategies for those. Often teams meet at a dedicated time, dedicated place, location, etc. You want to think how much time you spend on it and how much time did you spend in the various stages. Usually when you get stuck, the most time is spent in analysis, but sometimes you struggle early on in defining the problem and thinking like that. And each phase has its own style, of time frame that kind of goes along with it. But be thoughtful as you advance in problem-solving coaching and problem-solving doing about the time frame management component of it and getting better at that aspect. Tip number 10, make it fun somehow. Look, life can be difficult. We all get tired, and sometimes in problem solving you're working on something really difficult or dangerous or really plagued you for a long time. And look, when we struggle, your morale can sink a little bit. That's why I like to have morale meisters in the classroom and have people playing different roles. But look, find little tricks and techniques, during lunchtime, during meetings to help make it interesting. Have a video that pulls people's spirits up. Bring somebody in to talk about it from another angle, so to speak. Have an executive give, encouragement feedback sometimes when the team is struggling. Bring an expert in and, have them share war stories about how they struggled through a problem, tell funny stories and things like that. But look, you want to create an environment, as I talked earlier, that's fun but also informative. You want to have people, I want to be on this team. I want to work on this problem together because this group of people works together great. Create that style of environment, make it fun, make people want to be there, and you got to do that based upon the personalities and people in the room and the environment of your company, etc. But don't let it pull you down. Be the force in the room that pulls everybody up and makes it fun somehow. So there you have 10 problem-solving tips, techniques. They're general. I can use them in a variety of different situations. I hope you found one of them useful and can adapt and modify it some way, shape, or form for your situation. I have more advanced ones, but they're very situational specific. These are more generic in nature and can be used almost anywhere, anytime, I feel. So again, if you like these, hit like and subscribe on YouTube or leave a comment down below on social media sites. That's my personal trigger, Kanban, to make more of these. And also add your favorite tip or technique down below. As iron sharpens iron, so we sharpen one another. So let's sharpen each other's sword up and get better at this. Have a great day.